Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and tonight we're talking Thursday Night Football, Week 9. This time it's the Colts and the Jets. This was a blowout that actually the Jets made look even respectable at the end, 45-30. And they actually could have scored another. That would have been interesting if they had actually scored that touchdown there and have a chance for an onside. That would have been an insane comeback. But no, they didn't get it. But 45-30, Colts dominated this thing for a long time, pretty easily. Carson Wentz went 22 for 30, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked good Carson Wentz tonight, right? That was the good version, which you get a lot of times. Jonathan Taylor, 19 carries, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. One was a 78-yard touchdown. Great run there. Nyheim Hines was definitely involved, playing well in this one too. Taylor was hurt for a little bit there. He was on the sideline. Hines got a little extended work. He had 6 carries, 74 yards, a touchdown, a 34-yard touchdown. And then he also caught 4 balls for 34 yards. So he had a good day if you played him. And Michael Pittman, 5 catches, 64 yards. Not huge there, but gets himself a touchdown. And yeah, pretty much if you had one of the players that you would normally play from the Colts, you feel decent after tonight. Especially if you have Taylor. You feel really good.
Yeah. The story is the Jets still suck.
Yeah.
And they make other people look really good.
Yeah.
But I think that is not really a surprise to anyone. Pittman kind of continues on the hot streak as far as touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor really looks good, and then everyone else kind of fills in around him. But the Jets, they have been having a few people that all of a sudden have been worthwhile. They can be playable, especially streaming bye weeks. First of all, we'll go to the quarterback last because that's like a kind of a whole thing. But Michael Carter was kind of the number one, right? Where you're staring at this. He's a running back. People desperately need him. He's been kind of surprisingly good. This game, how did you see that one? I know that it got out of control really quick, which can happen to bad teams. And he had 13 carries for 49 yards, and then he also had 1 catch for 37.
Well, it was weird. 1 catch for 37, but in reality it was 2, which is the funny part because one of them was I can't remember who they passed it over. He passed it back to Carter, so it doesn't count as a catch, but he gets the yardage. So
yes. So he didn't actually have that. He had a fine game.
86 total yards, right?
Yeah. It's like, okay.
I'm okay with this game got out of hand. Like they couldn't go to the ground game. But he's clearly the main guy. There were 13 carries to Ty Johnson's 4. Ty Johnson was in there a little more at the end. Maybe Ty Johnson did catch a touchdown there. Had a nice play. Carter is he's the guy. He's totally the guy there. It's just, this is the game that it gets out of hand. That's the problem though, with playing for the Jets is it can happen. And it can get out of hand, and you can get these days. But I actually feel okay if the worst it gets is 86 total yards.
I feel like that is not going to be the worst it gets, though. I feel like it's going to be worse. I mean, we've seen 2 games in a row where the quarterback play has been pretty good, actually. And they have been the second and third string quarterbacks. How long can that last?
We'll see.
It's like undetermined.
Next week against Buffalo.
It's gonna get real bad.
Not feeling great about it. Then Miami, Houston, Philadelphia. Okay, I'm okay with that stretch. Then Saints, then Miami, then Jacksonville. Okay. But there's a couple in there that you might just like next week against Buffalo. I don't know. I mean, because Carter can go catch balls in games. He didn't today. That didn't happen today, but it can happen. Yeah, that was the difference here. He didn't get that. He didn't get the receiving work like he does. Last 2 weeks he had 9 catches and 8 catches. This one he has 1, or 2. I don't know. He had 2. That it's just odd stat.
Which is surprising in a game where it got out of control this quickly. I mean, they were they were up by I don't even know.
It wasn't even
in the third 21 by half.
Yeah,
something of that nature.
And it would have been interesting maybe I don't want to say if Mike White doesn't get hurt because Johnson, he took a little bit to get going, but at the end also the Colts weren't really playing much of anything, just a regular base defense, not trying anything. Yeah. And so he looked okay there. Yeah, they
also weren't bad though.
Yeah, Mike White could have made it interesting. Maybe. We don't know that. He actually looked good. He was 7 for 11, 95 yards, a touchdown. The score was 7-7, and he went out. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he did fine, but I don't want to take too much away from Josh Johnson because, I mean, the truth is he had 27 for 41, 317, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The interception was on the last drive of the game.
Last play, yeah.
Right, trying to force it in. And even that was he actually got popped up at the line.
Yeah.
He didn't look bad.
Yeah, for a third string quarterback. Yeah, that's the best you're going to ever see right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just kind of funny that Mike White, what he did he with 400 throwing yards, and then Josh Johnson not even on a full. And I realize he's making a comeback, and they're probably playing a little softer than they usually would, but 317 and 3 touchdowns going into that last throw.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of one of those, like, what is going on here?
Yep. Yeah. And Zach Wilson didn't before. We'll see. But Zach Wilson will obviously get a shot again when he's healthy. So we'll see how it plays out. But the Jets at least can put up some points, I guess, even in garbage mode, in garbage time here, which is okay. Another good story, I guess, from this one's Elijah Moore. 7 catches, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. A lot of that came at the end. He did have a touchdown early. Then he had that other touchdown. I think it was already in the 4th quarter when he got his 2nd touchdown. That was only about his 3rd catch of the day at that point. So he piled on some in the 4th. But that's 3 straight games of, 6 targets, 8 targets. Last week he was 6 of 67. The week before he was only the 1 for 13. But I looked at the targets were there, right? And he ran a touchdown in. Then he's 7 for 84. He's becoming their go-to guy at this point. So how much does that matter on the Jets? Get to see that, but I like the way he's playing.
Yeah, I really like this coming down the stretch because if they can continue to pass for a lot of yards, whether or not they win or not, I could care less, right? They're not going to win. But if they can continue to be able to pass it, whether or not they're behind and they have to, which actually could help him, watching Elijah Moore become one of the primary guys is huge. We liked him coming into the year, and it was kind of like, well, you're stuck on this team. If Zach Wilson happens to be the second coming of Mahomes, you're in good hands. If it's the normal Jets, then you're kind of in purgatory for a while. So this is why it's so great to see this and to get the touchdown, the 2 touchdowns today. Because it actually shows that he can get in the end zone, and they're trying to stretch the field a little bit, and they're not just giving up, which kind of you see a lot of bad teams do. I do think that going down the stretch, he's someone to look at, to pick up and say, all right, maybe he's trying to make a name for himself. And I do like guys like that. It's not a bad guy to throw on the end of your bench. He's much more of a wild card, but I also think he's probably a better bet than I'm trying to think, like, I don't want to say Landry. I'm trying to think of someone that's kind of like just kind of boring in the middle that you're not usually
better than his own teamate, Jamison Crowder. Like,
Crowder is a good example of that too.
Right.
Even though I do have this, I mean, Crowder, I think he had 7 targets today, 5 for 38.
5 catches. Yeah.
I'd rather completely out of it, but I would rather have Elijah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I just picked up Elijah Moore yesterday in our main league, Jeff. There we go. I picked up him. I dropped Rondale Moore. So I thought Elijah, I liked what I saw from the last couple of weeks from him. So I want to throw him on the end of the bench, see what happens. There we go. So I feel good about that. But yeah, we just talked a lot more about the Jets than we did the Colts in a blowout game where the Jets get blown up. But they're interesting. They're interesting. I don't know. They have young guys that like Carter and Moore that are they're interesting to me. And we'll see what they do.
This is not a game you're learning anything about the Colts.
They're good. They're good. They're a good, solid team, but
they brought Tennessee to the brink last week when Henry was, the MVP before he got hurt. So why would we think they're not going to just trounce the Jets? Yep. So I don't know. It was one of those where the Jets were the one like, oh, all right, they have a few players. We're learning more and more. Who can we actually use off of this dumpster fire? Yep. We're figuring it out.
I think they're going to continue to use Michael Carter. They're going to continue to use Elijah Moore. There's no reason not to. Like, they're 2-6. They're done. They're not playing for anything this year. Let's see what the young guys can do. So
with the way the quarterbacks are playing and with bye weeks not going to be wrapped up for a little while, is there any hope like a Mike White? He played well when he was in there. Would you think about maybe streaming him, or is that still so far away?
I couldn't do it. And Zach Wilson, they didn't put him on IR. I'm expecting him to be back. Worst case, but maybe not the upcoming week, but the week after. They might not bring him back against Buffalo, but he'll be back in week 11 against Miami. So you're not going to play a guy. You're not going to play anybody. It'll be Zach Wilson before you know it. And you're not playing him this week against Buffalo.
Right.
So
but
I guess in a couple weeks, if Zach Wilson does come back and he continues the way this offense has started to look, and week 12, if he comes back week 11, does decent, and then week 12, they're playing against Houston and you're in a bind, maybe, it's not the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah. By the end of the year, you kind of get a little mojo going. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I think that pretty much wraps this game up, but you were just filling me in on some information right before this.
So I guess some Odell Beckham news that just came through. There's been the rumors that, he hasn't been to practice since he didn't get traded. And he didn't get traded. He stopped coming to practice. His dad posted a video online or something about.
Okay, we do have to admit this. As a teammate, super shitty. That is some high end trolling by his dad, though. It's really funny for the outside, but oh my gosh, like if you're in that locker room, you have to be like, I'm going to punch your dad in the face. Like, what are you doing? That was hilarious, though.
So Pro Football Talk came out just about 15 minutes ago and said the plan currently is for the Browns to release Beckham on Friday. So you're probably listening to this. Maybe it's already even happened by the time you hear this. But if that happens, there's some, stuff they got to come up with money wise, but if that happens, he would go to waivers. I don't know if any team would pick him up or not. That's an interesting part. Would anybody pick him up? It's going to be a contender if they do, you would think, or I don't know. Or do you think another team that's not a contender would just want to take a shot? I got to see what Odell's contract is here. That's why I guess know how many more years.
I was gonna say it could be maybe it was front loaded, but it's way too much money. I don't know.
Yeah, would somebody take a shot on him here
for his production? I don't even think teams know if he's any good anymore. Like, and he's not bad, but you're kind of like, you're not worth that much money. Why in the world would we invest that kind of money for another couple of years?
Yep. Anybody can be released in the NFL. Nothing's always,
Yeah, I don't actually know the.
But if they picked him up, it doesn't matter if they did pick him up. Obviously they're picking up because they want him. But his current base salary is $14.5 million, 13.7 next 2 years. So his contract is through 2023. Obviously, you can change that, but through 2023, and it's over 13 million a year, 14 million. So that's a lot of money. I don't know if a team would want to do that right now. Maybe they would. There was teams interested in him, interested in trading for him. Because of that, the Saints were one of them. I'm looking at this. The Saints were one of the teams interested in trading for Odell. And it looks like actually the Saints and the Raiders apparently were some of the teams interested.
If I was him, I would not want to go to. First of all, I definitely wouldn't want to go to the Saints.
But it might not be if they decide they want to put the claim in, and it's not up to him.
Anymore. It's not up to him. Yeah.
But if let's say nobody claims him, if no one claims him, where are the situations where you'd like to see him?
Well, there's two teams in particular that I really, really like. First of all, you can go. There's a lot of teams that are contenders. I think that would have to be where he would want to go, especially if after he doesn't get claimed, he has more control over it. But in my mind, there's two leading teams, and one would be Green Bay. You have Devontae Adams, but you don't really have that number two, and they're still winning. So why not take a shot at him if you're going to go for like a minimum contract and it's like a half a year prove it kind of deal?
Yep.
Why wouldn't they take the shot on him? And then the other one that I was just talking about before this was Buffalo. I think that would be very, very interesting to have not only Diggs but him, and then you have Knox, and you have an insane amount of weapons. You're kind of on the level of KC all of a sudden if he's 75% of what he actually was back in the day. So I think I like those two teams the most. I did like yours though, because it'd be the most annoying thing in the world, where the first thing you said was, what if he went to the Chiefs? And I was like, I'll blow my brains out. Like,
never know.
There's the most annoying team to watch.
To be honest, there's honestly a lot of potential spots. Like like what you talked about. The Saints truly are a potential spot. I just don't know how I love it with Taysom Hill there. I don't really think that's great for us.
It would not be good for Beckham either. If he's trying to prove that he can still be a number one dominant top 10 wide receiver, you're not going to really be able to prove it there, and it's going to be really, really, really painful for Odell.
If he clears everything, if he wanted to go to the Rams would sign him for a minimum deal.
Rams would be a fun one.
Rams would do it. There's other options like the Patriots are always an option. People are talking about the Patriots. Again, for fantasy, I don't love it, but he would go in there. He should be the number one. So it makes sense that in that way. The Seahawks, he could go there and join Metcalf and Lockett. That'd be a cool, trio too. There's a lot of just potential like that.
If you're doing a minimum contract, he can literally go anywhere. But I will say Vegas grabbing him, especially with what happened with Ruggs and them, them being they're a good team. I mean, they have a good record, I should say.
Yep.
I don't know how legit they actually are, but that does make a lot of sense. If they picked him up and they're willing to pony up for that, I do understand that. It's a lot of money to pour into a guy that hasn't produced in years, though.
True. Yep. Be interesting to see what happens, though. So, all right. We'll wait and see. Maybe by the time this episode is actually out, that maybe we know. Or by the time tomorrow, sometime when you're listening, you already know where he's gone and he'll miss this week. He'll sign quick. He can't screw around. Needs to go play. So. See what happens. But
what if he gets picked up by the Raiders and then he pulls an Antonio Brown, just like two crazy wide receivers in a row?
What if the Lions decide they want to claim him?
Just throw money at him. I would literally be like, "What are we doing?"
You would be so angry.
I would be furious.
But all right, that'll do it for today. Talk to you guys next time.